Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Ash, Brent. Clear, cool Monday following a rather stormy Sunday evening.
Did it rain last night?
Yeah, pretty good.
I slept through it. Live from the Atzenhofer studio, where for over 100 years, Atzenhofer's been a South Texas tradition. It's 67 degrees in Victoria, Texas, under cloudy skies, heading to a high today of 81. No rain in the forecast. The weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. I saw Jackie Parsons on Saturday.
Yep, and we're came by our No Fools rally,
which was fantastic, and we'll get to that. There's Stephanie Conte, who finally got some rest after she showed up and we put her to work. Rena Shear was there. Saw her right there. Got a picture of her and Ryland. I remember when Rena used to be able to rest her elbow on Ryland's head, and now he's shoulders and
he
head
was
above her.
6 months old.
Yeah. Wow. Deerland Feed inviting you down for Balin for your pre-emergent. It's time to put it out for the grass burrs and your 21-7-14 blend. It's American plant food product. If you go in and say, I need the Wade and Carter blend, if you can't remember the numbers, it's the Wade and Carter blend.
I'll get it for you.
They know what it is. Put it on your yard right here at Memorial Day and begin the cycle. Memorial, July 1st, July 4th, and then Labor Day. And by next spring, you'll have a thriving, wonderfully green yard that requires less water.
Yeah. And they've got the Bifin, too, to help with all the mosquitoes that are sure to pop up following the rain last night. Stephanie Conte, Greg Garcia, Ricky King on the podium this morning. Congrats to you three, and thanks to everybody else that tunes in every Monday through Friday right here on the Mothership Magic.
One thing about that Bifin is you can buy that at Deerland Feed, and it's a concentrate. It's one of those little bottles that looks like a flask, like you open this lid, open that lid, and you squeeze it up into that cup. I always give it like a really good squeeze, and then I put that into a gallon of water. And, man, I mean, you can go from – you see an ant bed, you just kind of go, they're gone. I mean, they're gone. And then I walk around the house.
They'll twitch a little bit.
Yeah, it's fun to watch the ants suffer. But then you can do it. I catch all the doorways.
Everybody does it, though, because fire ants are such a pain in the ass.
But the reality, though, is that you can buy stuff at the box stores that kind of works. I mean, but like Bifin's tried and tested. It's not like DDT. It's not like you're going to get cancer from it. I'm just telling you, it's pet friendly. I'll spray it along the baseboards in the house, and Dawn will go, there was a roach in the kitchen. And I'm like, well, he had been in the house. He hid somewhere, and he died because the Bifin got him. Under the refrigerator, down between the washer and the dryer. That's where all the little bugs want to hide out.
And they have the little vials too. If you don't need the big bottle, you can buy like a box of 3, and it's pre-measured. Just pour it in.
A year ago, I put it to where my sprayer sprayed a mist, they call it a cone.
Mm-hmm.
And I went around where the ceiling meets the walls in my garage, all the way around. Guess what? I don't have any more daddy long leg spiders. No more. No more spider webs in my garage just from doing that one time a year ago.
Dang.
So
need to do that.
Yep.
Scott Tomko, Bobby Leister, Linda Christ,
Mark Kurtz came by.
Yep. Marvin Mickish, Micah Patton.
Micah Patton came by. BJ Nelson came by. Andrew Alvarez was there. Lisa Poole was there. What a great group of listeners.
Mark Cepeda came by, said hi.
Tammy Keeling made a direct donation, did not support the No Fools rally. That's okay.
Good morning, Marina.
We're very, very blessed by you. And in total, we gave a literal ton of food to Christ Kitchen.
What's my trailer? 6 foot? 6 foot cargo trailer. I bet 2/3 of that full if we would have stacked it by the time.
Cody Bauman was there.
Crossroads Today did a little article on it in case you haven't seen it, and they
were very fair. The gentleman, I don't remember his name. Do you know his name?
Very good job of reporting the facts. They kind of downplayed why we did the No Fools part of the rally.
And
but
Dawn and I talked about that. The gentleman that wrote the article and did the broadcast, we could look it up real quick just to give him credit. He called, and Dawn and I were out running errands, and I visited with him on the phone while driving down to Vero. That's why the audio sounds the way it does. There's an audio soundbite in there.
Trenton Whitting.
I thought he did a great job. He was super gracious, super to me, unbiased. But Dawn and I discussed it, and because it was going to be for general consumption, and I didn't want any of the tongue-in-cheek of the event to get lost, we made the decision to downplay the bashing of the No Kings rally. We said, look, let's focus on the positive. Now, I know you don't expect that level of maturity out of me, and that's fine. But it was a conscious effort to say we were blessed. The community came together. Folks donated. We mentioned, how fortunate we were to have good folks in the Crossroads.
And we had a lot of people come by, and I mean, we took $382 in cash,
That
checks
day.
that we got just that day over to
Yeah.
Christ Kitchen when we took the trailer full of food as well. Those that didn't have time to stop by Sam's or HEB brought cash by and said,
Right.
here you go.
Charity doesn't require mocking people. Say the very people who support the No Kings rally.
Yeah. And
Mocking a
mock,
non-existent king, a non-existent fascist, a
and
non-existent-
flip off people who
flip
drove
off
by
people
with
who
Trump
disagree.
flags just because they disagreed with them.
Yeah. You're a 90-10 person, and you're just on the wrong side of the facts on this one. How about, Ash, these people that are so up in arms, many of them just displaced, fake outrage white people. Did you know that now that the Supreme Court has decided that gerrymandering based on race is discriminatory? Period. I don't mean gerrymandering against black people, gerrymandering for white people. Gerrymandering districts based on race is discriminatory, and it's not constitutional, nor was it included in 64 and 65's Voting Rights Acts. So why is it that all these white people are all out of control over, to hear them tell it, black people are no longer allowed to vote. They can't vote anymore.
Yeah.
So in Memphis, Tennessee, people are going nuts over the fact that these districts are going to they're going to do away with their black advantage. Here's some trivia for you.
Districts that.
Here's some trivia for you. Memphis, Tennessee is represented by a progressive Democrat in Congress. His name is Steve Cohen. Mr. Cohen is not only an attorney, very small percentage of Tennesseans,
Guessing by
He's
the last name Cohen.
white.
I guess he's white. Yeah.
and he's Jewish. You know how many Jews there are in Memphis, percentage-wise?
Steve Cohen?
None. But guess what? The female who's running against him this election cycle is a black woman. But that doesn't meet their needs because she's not a Democrat. She's a Republican. So you have a black conservative female, and Memphis, Tennessee residents are up in arms that they're not represented. They've got no chance at representation.
They'd rather have the white Jewish guy
That's right.
represent them
That's right.
than the black female because
Just because.
she's not a Democrat.
It's not about race at all, people. It's about power.
Yep, that's all it's about.
It ain't about race. It's not about blacks not being properly represented. It's about Democrats losing their clutch. Democrats, here's what's so sad. The Democrats have come to the black community forever and said, bless your hearts. You're too stupid to take care of yourself. You can't even get on the internet by yourself, Joe Biden. Can't even get on the internet by
Can't
yourself.
even get IDs.
Y'all can't. There's no way y'all could get an ID to vote. Let us help you. We're the Democrats. By the way, just vote for us. And by the way, I've said it for years. We're going to promise you a loaf of bread. We're going to give you crumbs. And we're dang sure never going to teach you how to bake. The Democrat Party has been holding Black America down forever. Forever. Lyndon Johnson will own them for 100 years. Come on, wake up, Black America. The great thing about being here, well, I mean, to be honest, I don't mean it's great that we don't have any, but we don't have these problems because we don't have that many Black Victorians, percentage-wise. And the ones that I know, the folks that I know, they work. They may vote Democrat based on family tradition, but they don't feel oppressed over their voting district. I applaud the Supreme Court for simply saying discrimination in any direction for political purposes is unconstitutional. There are no districts. There may be districts being drawn that favor Democrats or favor Republicans, but they're not. The Republicans aren't drawing parties or districts just to have white people. They're just not. Silly talk. It's all about power. It ought to basically be done by counties. And if you don't like it, then move.
And you can't tell me that for as much as we rely on artificial intelligence these days, you couldn't run an AI powered program to come up with voting districts that would with no parameters other than, and just because Grok's easy to say, hey Grok, we need to redraw all the lines for the districts for 435 congressional seats and 100 Senate seats. We need the Senate seats to mirror what we come up with the House. They need to be based on population and using existing county and political lines so that we don't have to carve things out. You're telling me that Grok or AI couldn't do that and make it easy? Yeah, lines would be redrawn and districts would be redrawn, but with those being the only parameters, and you don't worry about race, you just worry about the number of voters and the population, you're going to probably end up with some pretty fair lines. Oh, and somebody actually did this already. And when Grok did the calculations, Republicans ended up with 288 of the seats.
Right. Absolutely.
But I had this discussion with Woodrow Wilson Wagner on Saturday afternoon at the Patty Dodson
He came
Center.
by, and what a joy he was, just
And
common sense.
We both agreed that AI probably could do it and could do it fairly. And you would have a redrawn 435 House seat districts that wouldn't be based on Republican favoritism or Democrat favoritism.
So I have a question. Would you give AI criteria that says, let's draw districts that upset both sides equally? I mean, what criteria would you give it? Like, I don't understand
based
why.
on population was what we said. And I think if you used existing county lines.
So wouldn't every inner city, Detroit, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Houston, wouldn't they all be with those huge majorities of minorities in the inner cities? Wouldn't they all become black districts?
I don't think so, because they neighbor other districts that aren't majority black, and you've got to get a certain number of population in each district, right?
I mean,
the way the lines are drawn now,
know.
it's so squiggly to carve out those certain Sheila Jackson Lee neighborhoods in Houston.
The thing
in
that
the Fifth
troubles
Ward.
me, without being racist, just being observational, it doesn't make sense.
Andrew Alvarez says, give him 5 minutes. I'll have the whole country redistricted with AI. I challenge you to get that done by the end of the show, Andrew.
The thing that doesn't make sense to me, though, is that it's kind of like letting Congress be the only people that vote on giving Congress a raise. When you let inner city Houston determine its representation, Junior, the Fifth Ward is a mess. Everybody that's on the government dole is not going to vote to cut spending on entitlements. I mean, their representative in Congress, Sheila Jackson Lee, has got to go up and say, oh, we have needs in the ward. He's got to say that. And there's 2 million people in that district.
Yeah, but we voted for parties that want to cut spending, and they never do. So it really is irrelevant.
True story.
Because Congress will never vote to cut spending.
I've always felt that the natural order of things the natural order of things is for the Democrats to be in charge. Because when the Republicans are in charge, I'm not being facetious either. I mean, I think the country was somewhat designed for the Democrats to be in charge. Because when the Republicans are in charge, it's almost like we're apologetic for being in there. And we just, instead of going in and making swooping changes, we go in and spend all our time trying to make them like us.
Yeah.
Can you see? We really aren't bad people. We just vote with our wallets and you vote with your heart, but we still care. And you know, we want you to like us.
But the Democrats get stuff done. I saw a stat over the weekend, 90 bills. That's all Congress has passed so far. It's the lowest number this far into a term in decades, almost going back to the turn of the century. 90 bills. That's all Congress has passed. Typically, you're pushing 200 on a slow 2-year term. 90. That's it. They're getting nothing done, folks.
No, that's
Nothing.
exactly right. That's exactly right. Monty Howard says, I'm describing the rhinos. But Monty, does it not seem like, John Cornyn, that the rhinos are somewhat in charge of the Republican Party? I mean, am I right? It just seems like
And that's on
a guy like Michael Cloud is a real anomaly. I mean, he's a rare exception. He is not a go along to get along guy. He does try to cut things. You know, it's very, very sad.
He talked about his sunset clause that he tried to get passed when he first got to Congress. And it was very simple. After so many years, they were going to review things, look to see if they were still doing what they were supposed to do, or if it was still needed. And if not, they would cut the program. Congress didn't want to cut the program or anything that might cut a program because too many of their friends are probably running these damn programs.
100%. A
Why do you
listener
think-
says, is it like letting the state legislature vote on vouchers without sending that decision to the people? No, I never thought it was. I always felt like we put the representatives in there to vote on those things. I mean, that's
It wasn't a constitutional amendment, so no, sure.
true story.
And it wasn't a bond.
Yeah, no, I agree. It wasn't something that they needed to.
And
elect.
everybody ran on vouchers. But here's my concern with vouchers, because they said, 100,000? This thing's going to be tripled by the next legislature.
Yeah, and by the way, I'll tell you now, I believe the legislature will take the voucher program from $1 billion to $3 billion in the next session. I do. I think it's going to
because
happen.
they've got 274,000 people that applied now.
Yeah. But, you know, I have some real problems with the application process for the vouchers. Like, you know, they said that they're going to let the children that are special needs and financially challenged, they're going to let them have priority. You've got lots of people now who are saying, I think my child might be dyslexic. And then VISD has to test that kid at VISD/your expense to determine if that kid is dyslexic. And then if it is and falls into a special ed category, then you have a chance to get a voucher. So the problem I have with that is I think that the legislature should say, from a special ed standpoint, these vouchers are only available to children who are currently in special ed situations. We're not going to determine your kid is special ed and then give you a voucher all at state expense. That doesn't make sense to me. So that's just one thought. But at the end of the day, let me calculate the effect this has had on VISD. Zero. It has had no effect on VISD. So, by the way, VISD would be thrilled if all the special ed kids went somewhere else except for the cash flow. That's it. When you say special ed, the breadth and the width of that definition is so broad. Everything from behavioral issues to learning issues to the combination of, we decided a while back, we've got this no kid left behind and we've got all these, everybody's got to be mainstream and all that. It just doesn't work in society. There's people that aren't your friends because of the way they act. So, we've gotten to the point in our public schools where we educate to the lowest common denominator. And I'm not talking about special ed kids there. I'm talking about the troublemaker kid, the kid that barely gets by. That's who we're trying to educate. Why? Why not educate the best and brightest, and everybody that wants to rise on that incoming tide, let them benefit and let the rest, like I said, by the time you're a junior in high school, if you're not contributing, get out. Go get a job for a while. Appreciate hard work. And guess what? We'll provide you a free GED when you come back. And I know lots of people that have thrived on GEDs. It's just like the kid that gets out of school. Maybe he barely graduated high school, but he goes into the military for a couple of years. He comes out a man. Then he goes to college and becomes an engineer.
Yeah.
People mature at different levels, and different stimuli create maturity. Promote maturity. If you're a turd as a junior in high school, kick them out. Go get a job, buddy.
Or we used to send those kids to special schools and let them, and with teachers that dealt with them.
But now that's not fair.
No, and got them out of mainstream schools where they were a distraction to the kids that were actually willing to learn.
Go let them work on the VISD farm. Sponsored by Texas A&M Victoria. Let them grow vegetables. Get with our representative, AJ Louderback. Thank you for tuning in, sir. And change the legislation that allows our local farms to provide local vegetables to our schools. And put those kids to work. It wouldn't take them any time at all to go, can I please go back to algebra? It's hot. No doubt about it. Christy Thurman says she agrees. Anybody with any sense agrees with this. Get the turds out of our punch bowl and identify them with malice. Billy, it's a third time this week I've told you to sit down and shut up. You're on the quick train to the student farm. Is that where you want to be? Because I can have you out of here. Love it. We can create a review
Teachers
board.
used to do that, and the rest of the class would snicker, but the message was sent, and Billy usually shut up and sat down and learned something, or he got sent to the principal's office for detention or to visit, where the principal actually had some authority to do something.
Right.
Now mom and dad come in, and they blame everybody but their kid for being the problem for disrupting that class, which is the other problem. Helicopter and bulldozer parents are the worst thing to happen to this generation.
Absolutely.
Because you've enabled the behavior, because none of you ever believe your kid did anything wrong. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And your kid does everything wrong all the time.
On matters of education, I do often defer to Tammy Keeling. She says impending effect on VISD is greater than $500,000 revenue lost from first round voucher awards. So wait, okay. In VISD attendance zone, 5 vouchers equal 1 teacher salary lost. I would go with that, except that the legislature just increased teacher pay in the last session by more than they've ever done so.
Well, is that you're blaming vouchers?
It's not. It's
when
selective.
it's been, there's a lack of trust in VISD. Almost half of the people in this county didn't vote for the bond. It barely passed 112 votes.
Right.
We had 3 failing campuses. We don't have any more, but there's been too much of lack of the education side of the education of what we're supposed to be doing. People have lost trust and faith in VISD, and you can't get that back because Sheila Colossus come in and started to turn things around. Those people lost faith a long time ago, and you're not going to get them back in a year.
And we told you that a long time ago, but nobody listened. Go up to Junior Samples. He made a good comment, and one just go up just a little bit. By the way, I'm not like an educational counselor. I'm not trying to make these. I'm making these panaceic comments just to stir conversation. Junior says dyslexia should not be classified as special ed. It's not a disability. It's a different way of learning. And then he loses me when he says we are very high intellect. Well, see, you could be the poster. Anyway, that doesn't matter. But I do think, yes, there are lots of, but here's the deal. When, to me, special ed, and I don't like the way the schools now, did you know that the schools, I mean, it's an easy acronym, if you will, but they call those kids SPED. I don't like that. I mean, it's just always felt slangish to me. Doesn't mean I'm right.
They don't call it to their faces, though.
Well, if you can't do that, then to me it's somewhat derogatory, and I don't think it's meant to be that way. But special ed children, to me, are children that can't quite go along with the normal protocol. And what I mean by that is that's why you have AP classes, is to take the somewhat elite learners and put them in another classroom. However, we've also seen if you have really sharp kids, and there's studies that have been done that you can get classrooms too small. You get classrooms down to 10 or 11 students and one teacher, and all of a sudden everybody clams up and there's no interaction. You get classes up to 50 and nobody learns. I mean, you can go to the University of Texas and see that in these big auditorium classes. They're just all running out the stream until they get into the higher classes. But, 30, 28, you get in that range right in there. And that's a great learning environment, especially if you have 4 or 5 excellent students in there. They pull others up. They make intelligent comments. In the same breath, if you have a true special needs kid that needs extra work, they probably are better off being in an environment where they're catered to. And that may actually be a private school. I want to support those people. And I think it benefits all students to take that pressure off of a teacher.
They used to be in their own classroom or even their own school.
But I don't want them just corralled over there like, oh, you're different and that's bad, so we're putting you in this room. I don't want that either. But I don't want to turn a blind eye and pretend that every kid learns at the same rate. And then we have to dumb it down so that little Billy can help us pass the STAR test.
Well, I remember my teachers used to encourage those that, especially because I was not great in math. I'm a parent on this show.
But I think you do great in math. Like they'll say something like 250 out of 1,000. Well, that's almost like 20%.
Yeah, that's rough. But those kids that were good in a subject were always encouraged to go and help those. And nobody got embarrassed. They were encouraged to go help others in the class figure it out and help them. And they did.
Right.
I don't know. But whatever we're doing isn't working because the U.S. is bottom third of the developed countries when we should be at the top of it. When we're importing IT folks from India because they're better at it and we can pay them less.
Right.
When it's not just about the pay, but that certainly helps, but they're better at it than the American counterparts. It's a problem.
Then they live 27 people to a 3-bedroom house and buy a hotel. Yeah. Heather Stewart says 21 max, 28 is way too many. And she teaches art. Can't check in with students and maintain control.
There's only room in the kiln
she
for
has 21 desks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
There's only room for 21 ashtrays in the kiln, not 28.
B. Small says he needs that hat. We need some more hats like this.
Yeah.
Jennifer Raber says, what about reading buddies? Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I remember those. I was one because I was a pretty good reader.
Yeah.
Should we take a break?
You do read a lot, too.
I do read a lot.
I'm a books on tape guy. Chopping Block, folks, let me tell you something. The Chopping Block went above and beyond this last week, did a fantastic job, made us some proprietary Wade and Carter blend breakfast sausage, which we used. It's 21-7-14, yes, spices and herbs. And we had breakfast tacos with a large portion of them being sausage, egg, and cheese that were fantastic.
And we didn't skimp on the sausage.
No, it was really sausage, egg, and cheese with a Veracruz tortilla. Get by the Chopping Block this week for all your beef needs. They have fantastic fare. Chesnick Furniture, Chesnick and Love make your house a home. Bobby Leon and his family would love for you to come in and talk to them about sofas, love seats, recliners, best recliners, American-made leather recliners. If you go in this week and buy a new chair or a bedroom suit or bedding, they will deliver it this week. Yeah. It'll deliver it the day you buy it. Go in there and see Chesnick Furniture.
If it's on the floor, it'll be in your house.
Understand why you just always do better at Chesnick. Palace Bingo, we got to do it at some point. We've got to have Palace Bingo night. So what is next Thursday? Is that the 18th?
21st. There's something that day we can't do it. I know that.
There's a reason.
20th?
What if we did it on Wednesday the 20th? Lisa Poole, let us know. Palace Bingo. Let's do it. Where friends meet friends.
We can do it.
USA Coatings, USA
Concrete
Foundation coating. Repair. 578 Home. Let them come out and level your home. They can go underneath and level your driveway, seal the cracks, and put down a tough as nails polyurethane coat that won't
crack, stick, peel, or fade.
There you go. Veracruz Restaurant. It's Monday.
Did you know Veracruz is not open on the weekends?
No. Everything is fresh today. Get into Veracruz today. You will love it. And then Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen is your go-to tow-to. I wonder if I haven't had a chance to talk to Alan Miller. I called, but I got voicemail. I think I got
rang twice and then he send a voicemail.
Yeah. If your name is Brent, don't leave a message. I think that Alan was probably, I don't know, the railroad may have their own crane, but I wouldn't have been surprised if Alan went out and put those two railroad cars back on the tracks out at Placido. So what do you got?
It looks like Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board has ordered a recently established Texas American Muslim University at Dallas to stop operating. They say they have not been authorized by the agency to grant degrees, so the university can't be open and operating in the state of Texas.
Let's see why, though. So it's the Texas American Muslim University at Dallas. You know what they call themselves? Capital T-E-X, capital A, capital M. Tex A-M University.
Yeah, Texas.
You're an idiot.
Yeah, apparently they've accused them of A&M system has accused them of trademark infringement.
Glenn Hager will be all over them, and Governor Abbott warned that legal action will follow. And folks, this is just the Texas A&M system has also accused of trademark infringement. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm telling you, if you don't think it's a real problem, you want to come here, you want to assimilate, you want to piggyback off our great wealth, you want to contribute to our country, that's great. Don't bring that crap into our sandbox. Don't be that kitty cat.
I've never understood why people who are fleeing oppression, people who are fleeing whatever to come to this country, never leave it behind.
No, when you bring there here, you create there here. I mean, that's not the right way to say that, I don't think, but
it's pretty close. You can't bring here. You can't bring there to here without here becoming there.
There you go.
I think Andrew Wilkow
coined
that phrase. I think only 8 summer camps or something like that were given approval by the state to open, but now that they say that summer camps will allow to obtain their operating license without having fiber optic internet service, provided they maintain some sort of redundant broadband internet service and meet all other safety requirements. I'm guessing.
So we decided, we laid that law down, but now that everybody's forgotten about the river flooding and all the kids dying, we've decided that they don't actually have to do it.
Well, I don't know that. I'm sure some of the places have no ability to get fiber, so they're probably having to use Starlink. Yeah, 19 camps sued the state to block that requirement as well. So I'm sure that's part of it as well. Did you see any of these UFO documents that the Department of War released?
No. You believe in any of it?
I believe UFOs exist. I
believe
don't
an
know.
unidentified flying object exists, but somebody knows what it is, and I don't believe it's got aliens in
Well,
it.
that's the funny thing, because there's still like hundreds of thousands of unclassified or classified and unreleased documents that are out there. And I looked at some of the pictures of some of these things. Couldn't tell. They don't look like alien spaceships. They just look like things that they can't identify. So there they are. I mean, they really did nothing.
So listen, in 1965, NASA Mission Control in Houston received a report of a bogey at 10 o'clock high from the crew of Gemini 7. One of the astronauts later described the sighting as a brilliant body in the sun against a black background with trillions of particles on it, as the Elton John song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds played.
That was the Beatles.
The Beatles, yeah. So back to this deal, we were talking about discrimination in Memphis and all that, and how that there's a black female running against a Jewish white attorney. Why can't a black female get elected in Memphis, Tennessee? Oh, because she's a Republican. Again, it's all about Democrat power. It's got nothing to do with representation. Thomas Sowell, black man. When people get used to preferential treatment, equal treatment seems like discrimination. All they want is an equal footing. But for years, for decades, 60 years at least, they've had it given to them. There you go. And what have they done? Honestly, they being Black America, what have they done but ruin every major city in this country? And I don't mean they, the blacks, I mean they, the blacks, elected they, the Dems, and the Dems have ruined every large city in this country. You can't tell me a large city in this country that thrives. Chicago is a dump.
Baltimore, dump. DC, dump until Trump sent in the National Guard to curb crime. The Dems are ruining Seattle. The Dems have ruined San Francisco. LA's a cesspool. San Diego probably on the verge, but they've been smart enough to keep them north of San Diego County.
There's Pastor Glenn Dry checking in from the Florida Keys. Good luck fishing today, sir.
New York turning into a disaster nobody wants to go to.
But no,
Portland, Oregon's a mess.
They went from white to black to now they're Muslim. I mean, now the Muslims are in charge in New York. Now the Muslims are in charge in Little Mogadishu, in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I mean, you can turn your back and squint your eyes just enough that you're like, hey, man, that's free representation. No, the Muslims used every advantage they could find provided by the Democrats to infiltrate. They found an area where they could be in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area. And make no mistake, they're trying to do it in Dallas. Nobody wants to see it. Brian Small sees it, I guarantee you. They're trying their best to get a foothold where they will get on a school board.
I think
they'll get on a city council.
I think if you want to go out, find the fraud first. Now that we know it exists, and now that we know that in Minneapolis it was Somalis, out in California it was another group of doctors from another country, and so, I mean, find the fraud, and then it's crazy. And a bunch of these people in California, they're all on permanent. They're all on their green cards, permanent resident status. Revoke it. Get them out of here.
That's right.
Get them out of here. Find the fraud and then kick them out. But we won't, because Ilhan Omar can't afford to lose her power, and she'll fight to keep them there. She's not worried about the fraud. She's not even complained about the fraud. She's trying to protect the fraud.
She has never said, we're going to find the fraud and we're going to fix it.
Because I think she's probably benefiting from it.
Hey, have they found that news anchor's wife yet? Mother?
No.
Have they mentioned her in 2 months?
No.
You think she's dead?
Yes.
So what I'm asking
because apparently, I mean,
why'd they take her? They didn't ransom her. They offered him $5 million for her.
I think they wanted to. Marina and I were talking about this. I think she says that she thinks they wanted to ransom her,
but she died.
And she died. And then they panicked because she wasn't supposed to die, but she was off her meds, and they'll never find her.
The only person that disappeared more clearly and quicker, whap, was gone. Governor Tim Walz, gone. Vice President nominee just 2 years ago. Google him. Nobody talks to that dude. Nobody talks to him. He's not quotable anymore.
He's not even electable anymore.
Hey, and there are people
drop out of his own race for governor.
There are people right here on this program, right there, who voted for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
Yep.
And that is just, those people are just stupid. Just stupid.
Detroit's trying to claw it back. Linda Chris says New York is now the next Detroit. Detroit's trying to claw it back from. They've done some things. It's not a cesspool it was downtown. I talked to somebody who was there last summer who grew up in that region and said it's actually getting better. It's not as bad as it was. Yeah. But here's the thing, and the left is always
Well, that's because you know why? Because look, it went so far down that you could go in, and I'm not making this up, you could go into inner city Detroit, buy a brownstone type building that was built in 1919 that's as solid as a rock, and you could buy 8,000 square feet for $250,000.
Yeah. And
so you fix it up, and the next thing, capitalists, those pesky white people, they're going to come back in and rejuvenate that area, and it's going to be thriving again.
And the thing is, they didn't even have to move the homeless and the people because nobody wanted to live there.
Yeah, nobody wanted to live there. It was so bad. Yeah. But the walls, the bones are so solid. There are huge mansions in the Detroit metro area that are just gorgeous.
They want to take a chance.
Cheap.
Yeah.
Cheap.
But, and the left is always quick to point out, well, the definition of idiocy is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Right.
That's been their voting pattern for 15 years in these large cities. 50 years of doing this, and they expect something to be different the next time. Maybe it will be with Sheila Jackson Lee, God rest her soul, dying and leaving the ward, thankfully, to her. Maybe, who knows? But she did nothing for the people of her district. Nothing.
Except go
keep them down
and moan and keep them down. That's right. Nothing positive.
And I don't get it. I don't get how people can keep voting for the same people over and over and over again, expecting different results and believing the promises when all they've been fed is lies and nothing's changed.
It's never been about change. It's been about hope and change.
It's never been about like change. Stockholm syndrome. It's got to be.
But if you're black and you don't vote Democrat, then you're like you're Uncle Tom. You're for Jim Crow 2.0. Blacks can't even vote anymore, is what I was told, that their vote's been taken away.
But it's the Democrats. Portland is a mess. Seattle's a mess.
Yep.
Minneapolis was heading down that road. Cities that don't have large black populations have been destroyed by Democrat. Seattle now, I mean, the mayor there is laughing at all these millionaires who are bailing. Starbucks, founded in Seattle. They're gone. They're moving to Nashville. The whole headquarters are taking everybody with them.
Yeah.
So what do? We're going to vote in a 9.9% state income tax on anybody making $1 million or more.
Yeah.
The only state income tax I think they have in Washington is on people making $1 million or more. How many of those executives from Starbucks are now gone with their $1 million?
I get lost on there's a conversation on the comments going on about, the GOP defunding public schools. I was told, I know we're trying to get back to 1997 levels and all that, but it's all trickery math. Any way you want to look at it, my tax bill every year is 2/3 our public schools. 2/3 of my taxes go to our public schools. And I just don't, and I'm exempting Super Sheila. I'm exempting the current school board. I'm exempting the current schools. I believe that Victoria is bucking the trend and that a positive curve is occurring. But education, public education in general, sucks. I mean, the best and brightest typically go to private schools, and their parents still pay public school taxes, and their kids go to private school. And I'm not saying that a St. Joe education is any better than a Victoria West education, but I'm saying if you go to Jesuit in Houston, you're probably getting a better education than you do at Memorial in Houston. And that's just the way it is. A college preparatory school where, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but where they don't have to deal with dyslexia, discipline.
Discipline.
Well, we were talking about not being special ed. I'm not saying they're special ed, but just special needs kids. They don't have to deal with that. They handpick the kids they want. They are quite often kids of means. Kids of means probably come from two-parent families in general. In general, those two-parent families make time to make sure little Lisa does her homework. There is a familial commitment to education. It has nothing to do with money. We can look at the Asian community, the Indian community, very low divorce, lots of parental involvement. I used to go to a Chinese restaurant in Dallas, and bless their hearts, their kids sat out in front of the restaurant doing homework on a bench under the light out on the front porch. The food was great. Mom and dad worked like dogs. Mom would go out in her apron and check their homework. That's not happening statewide in Texas. I've always said the ills of the schools revolve on the parents involved. So why would anyone think that throwing more money at the public schools is going to help our outcomes?
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, our schools improved without a bond, and we got 3 Fs to what, Cs? Right? Not even Ds. They're like,
right.
They're getting degrees now. And we didn't have a bond passed. I mean, it almost flew in the face of the arguments that we need better facilities so we have better outcomes, because the better outcomes were coming.
That's right.
Without the better facilities.
I think that we should go ahead and find a way as a community to snub our nose at the state, run our schools the way we want to.
Well, I think the other thing with private schools, I bet you they're not teaching a lot of communism and socialism.
Evolution.
And they're not. I mean, they're the kids that and the young adults that are out there protesting and believing in a No Kings rally and that Donald Trump's a fascist have been lied to by the educators that have gotten to the point where they think that's actually what's going on here.
And I'm loving the comments, and thank you all for contributing. In the same breath that the STAR test tells you nothing, if you show me a school district where every school's an A, and you show me a school district where every school's a C, I'm going to tell you that at least the teachers and the administration in that A district understand the game. And I'm going to tell you that I believe that the schools that have all A's are probably better schools than the schools that have all C's.
And I think I think it's the teachers that at the schools that have contributed to the test anxiety that's on the rise. I never worried about a test.
Yeah.
I had pretty good in school. But now you got third graders who have to take the STAR test who freeze up and have test anxiety.
Yeah,
you've made the test such a big deal to little kids that really don't matter at that point.
Right. it's not like they're going to fail. Every kid moves on to the next grade. Here's like, yep, there's fog on that mirror. You're a fourth grader. Crazy town.
Yeah.
Good morning, Allison Fox. Hey, I want to tell you guys, as you vote, I don't speak for Ash. I don't. We support Allison Fox for judge in the Court of Criminal Appeals. She is sharp. She's been in the court for a long period of time working. She's my choice for the Court of Criminal Appeals. She's been on the program. We'd love to have you back on, ma'am. Yeah. Test scores determine teacher pay in teacher incentive allotment system. Okay, well, maybe we should change that. But I don't know how you evaluate. Here's the problem. You need to be able to go in and give your local administration the authority to say, I've got 20 teachers and they gave me $50,000. Of that $50,000 at the end of the year, boy, you've been a great teacher and you've been here with me 10 years. I'm going to give you 5,000 of it. You're a first year teacher and I'm going to give you 1,500 because you did an adequate job, but that's really not, I'm just trying to keep you in the district. I don't want to lose you to Edna or somebody that'll pay a little more. And some of you just didn't earn any extra this year. You have a contract, you have a job. You didn't sign on to work in the school district for your bonus or your teacher incentive allotment. You didn't sign on for that. You may need that to survive. You may need to get a little cricket and start doing embroidery work on the side to make a couple extra bucks. You may need to start a radio show like I do, as if insurance doesn't pay my bills. But don't sign up to be a school teacher trying to find some way to rationalize that all of a sudden you're going to get wealthy, because you're not. You're an expense. Now, we think you're an investment, but to the budget, you're an expense.
The biggest expense besides
The
maybe
biggest
facilities.
expense. I had someone tell me that 48% of the state of Texas budget goes to education. If tomorrow you made it 95% of the budget goes to education, within 2 years, people that listen to this program would go, we need that other 5%. Man, we need that other 5%. If I doubled the money to public schools today, do you believe the outcomes of the average student would improve? Nope. It's not a correlation between spending.
Well, because it's really hard to measure the good teachers from the average to poor teachers, and they all get paid based on the years of service. And nobody, as soon as you pay the teacher whose kids are really doing well more, the rest of them get mad and drag that teacher down. It's crab bucket mentality.
But it's not even the kids. Why don't we start giving bonuses based on parenting? If your kid actually comes to school and isn't a turd, if your kid just turns in his homework every day on time, if your kid sits quietly in class, sits down, shuts up, and learns something, we're going to give you, mom and dad, $500 at the end of the year. And it sounds silly, but it would have a better effect than saying, oh, you're a good teacher, we're going to pay you a little more. I know teachers that they can't give you any more than they give you. Nobody understands. It used to be, and some of you people still say, well, they get 3 months off in the summer. You are ignorant. They don't get 3 months off in the summer. And they're having to do all their grading papers. It is tedium. It is.
They bring a lot of it home with them.
Unbelievable. They do. And they also, the good ones, they bring home each individual kid with them. I've seen school teachers sit and grieve over, I can't reach that kid.
I've known teachers that have gone and picked kids up to get to school because the bus missed them.
Of course, you do that now. They sue you for being a pedophile.
Because the parents either weren't home or were working. Single moms.
Yeah.
They made sure they got home. They made sure they had meals. There are very, very good teachers out there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you watch the news and every day you got a bunch who think it's just a treasure trove of kids for their to satisfy their pedophilia ambitions and delusions and sickness.
Fair. Jonathan
I don't
Williams
know.
says the kids that do well typically have one thing in common: parents putting in the work at home as well.
Or
If-
a parent that puts in the work
Yeah,
and
a
makes
parent.
it first.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
would
no, a parent that makes it a priority.
That's right. Teachers are the lowest paid degree required professionals. Hasn't changed ever in the history of the world. Never has. Used to be the spinster, the old school marm. Poor gal. She's ugly. She
But if you
became a
think
school
of,
teacher.
but compared to what?
At least school teachers are pretty now.
They're also, I mean, it's a 4-year degree, but you got 4-year degree people going and working at Starbucks and complaining about the pay too.
That's right. Yeah, but the
but
baristas, they want to make more money.
Yeah. But I mean, it's also one of the lowest education requirements out there. Yeah, you have to pass the state requirements and such. But there's not, but it's 4 years. That's it. You don't have to go an extra 2. You don't have to go get a doctorate or
from
a
an
master's.
education standpoint at the college level, becoming a school teacher is not oppressively hard. It's not.
No, and those ones show up in the classroom and you can tell they're just there for a paycheck and for a few weeks off in the summer and at Christmas.
Yeah.
But those are also the ones that probably get out within 3 to 5 years because there's nothing there for them.
Well, and that's a problem. Those, you've got to find a way to keep your mature teachers. You've got to find like right here in Victoria County, our best and brightest administrators, they get lured away
They
by
go work for the
Region 3.
Yeah, or Region 2.
That ought to
yeah.
be against the law. They shouldn't be able to pirate our people. I don't know.
I mean, you want local control, but I'm guessing the reason the state and the federal government, the Department of Ed, was created because states were failing. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, probably Louisiana. States in the South, Jimmy Carter's South, were the worst educators in the country. So the Department of Ed was born.
Which should go away. The Department of Education should go away.
And I'm guessing the states got involved because there were regions of the state where local control was failing their education of their citizens. I think if local areas were doing it well, I don't think the state would have got involved.
Public education is
There's so much
hugely corrupt cash grab. I mean, from the region to so your tax dollars fund the schools, and then the schools have to pay the region, and the region's buying real estate with your money. The whole thing is fraught with corruption. And at the end of the day, there's really nothing you can do about it.
Degrees aren't required to be a barista or a bartender here either. The problem is you go get a underwater watercoloring degree and it's absolutely useless for getting a real job of something that leads to a career and leads to benefits and a 401k and the things that actually advance you in life, career advancement. Unless bartenders make pretty good money. But unless you get into the management of wherever you're working, or you end up owning your own bar and then you're married to it for life till you sell it, because those days are long and the hours are horrible. Worked in the bar business for a little while. It's not all that much fun.
No.
When you're up till 3 or 4 in the morning and then you got to do it all again the next day.
But when you're in Canada, you can have a drive-through window off your kitchen and just sell beer.
Wish.
Christy Thurman says the education system is a scam and greed. There's no doubt there's tons of loopholes. There's tons and tons of pocket coding going on. All you have to do is get a book into the public schools.
Well, it was blatant in college when your professor wrote the textbook, and that's how they earned extra money, because you had to buy their textbook.
Yep. Junior says that you read his mind. He talks about crap degrees, touchy-feely education. Yeah. Pray for our school teachers, folks. They're good folks. They work hard.
The majority of them do. And unfortunately, the ones that don't taint the rest of them.
Yep. Folks, hope you guys, did you just use the word taint in a
I
sentence?
did.
Fantastic. Have a great day, folks. Tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, we're joined by Bill Brown,
Yeah.
Astros Hall of Famer. He's got a new book out, and he's going to talk to us about it.
I think the
Hope-
Astros lost 2 or 3 to the Reds this weekend.
And First State Bank of Louise Astros update. We're going to give them more time tomorrow. But the
Absolutely.
First State Bank of Louise, friendliest bank anywhere. We went to their 70th anniversary opening. Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.